Analytics is on the line right now. John, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Bill.
So I think I say this every time you come on. You were the one that said she would never be the nominee, and it looks like Hillary is going to be the Democrat nominee, or maybe not. But at the very least, you saw something back then that the rest of America seems to be seeing right now. Maybe she was not the right candidate.
Probably not the right candidate. I'm not sure still that she is, and I think that the current polls against matching her against Donald Trump kind of bear that out. No animosity towards her whatsoever. What I saw was weakness, the potential to be counterattacked and counterattacked pretty viciously. The more it looked like it would be Donald Trump, the lower you realize that the bar for the campaign would go. And, how do you stand up there and debate someone who's willing to go beyond rock bottom?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this latest commercial that Trump has put out is brutal. I mean, it's bad.
And so do you stand there graciously? Do you ignore? Do you fight back? You see what happens when you fight back against Donald Trump. You get vaporized when that happens, and so let's just say I don't know that it was anything prescient on my part, but just a sense that that there's some serious weakness, and the math is in her favor to be sure, but that still doesn't mitigate the fact that she's a very weak candidate going into the general election.
How does Bernie Sanders, when they go head to head, Bernie Sanders, Donald Trump, Bernie Sanders wins overwhelmingly?
I think what that's saying is anybody but Hillary.
Yeah.
I think you'd find the same thing had it been Joe Biden. But the demographics of the country have changed, and so Bernie is. Let's think in terms of the winning Obama coalition. Latinos are going to vote Democrat, and African Americans are going to vote Democrat. And then add to that millennials, and that's the difference. Millennials are not sure about Hillary. Not that they're going with Trump, but just not sure. So that's why you see in these matchups, 43-42 or 45-44. That's because a lot of the undecideds are younger voters, particularly younger women.
Have I just not paid attention this in previous years that this has just been so hyper focused this year that it's almost like the campaign we could be in November right now. We've had so much presidential campaign talk, and if you really look back on previous years, anything could happen between now and November. There is a long time. I mean, there are even possibilities where the October surprise could change everything. But there's a long time between now and then. So I guess there's two questions there. Number one, has it always been this way, or is it just the 24-hour news cycle? And then number two, a long time between here and there.
There is a long time between here and there. Anything can happen, and we're much more sensitive to the news cycle than ever before. And so, something can happen at the last minute, and people will know about it, and it could change their minds. More and more people undecided than ever before, and I think that's very important. Not only the nature, personalities of the candidates, but a lot more independence. The news cycle is highly influenced by new technologies. People get news briefs. The least likely people get news briefs in the palm of their hand, and that can influence them. But this is really the first election where celebrity culture is merged with our politics. I just did a focus group the other night, and normally you invite 17 or 18 people, and hopefully 12 show up.
Yeah.
We invited 17 people, and 26 showed up.
Wow.
My wife, my friend, nobody wants to go to a focus group.
Right.
But this year they want to go to focus groups.
Christine.
You had dubbed Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton as Mr. Unfavorable and Mrs. Unfavorable, and basically said in an article in Forbes that their only shot at winning was basically scaring the other side into not voting for that person. Is that what we want from this election season? Is that good for America?
Well, the short answer is no and no. No, I don't think it's what we want, but clearly it's what we're going to get.
Right.
Yeah, look at these folks are now 100% recognized, and people have strong feelings already. I mean, it's very difficult. Test it in your own life to ask anybody. What do you think of Donald Trump? What do you think of Hillary Clinton? Have them say, "Oh, geez, I'm not sure. I haven't quite made up my mind yet." No, they've made up their minds. The thing is, the only path left is to try to dampen the vote for the other person.
You know, John, that's a great point. I will say this, though. If you talk to Trump supporters, it's not because they don't want Hillary. It's because they love that Trump wants to build a wall or he wants to take down Wall Street or whatever he says he's going to do, depending on the day it is. They're gung-ho about what he's saying, not that they're anti-Hillary necessarily.
Well, I'm glad you bring up that point. Look, to be sure, Donald Trump has his supporters. For that matter, so does Hillary. But when we're talking about that gray area of people who have not made up their minds yet, it isn't because they've made up their minds and say, I need to hear more from Hillary or I need to hear more from Trump. It's that they really don't like what they see thus far, and it's going to be a battle now of who do they like the least.
I read a story the other day, too, and I forget exactly where it was, but it really took a look at what is going on, that we're seeing something enormous right now in politics, that it's not just this year, and this isn't the beginning of the change, that it's the end. And it really is going to change the Democrat Party and the Republican Party. And a lot of it has to do with those who believe in a global in a global approach and those that are nationalists and who tend to America is the greatest and we don't need anyone else. And as a matter of fact, these people coming in are destroying what we used to have. So it's that group versus the group that says that we need to, maybe we're going to suffer just a little bit, we're going to pay a little more, but the rest of the world will benefit. What are your thoughts on that? And do you see that something that in the next 10 years is going to completely redefine both parties?
That's Michael Lynn's article, and it was a good one.
It was good.
And I'm not sure that I'm there yet. Basically, the party structure has changed. The realignment is taking place, and you see certain demographics and attitudes clearly going into one party, and the other side going into the other party. I have a sense, though, that what he missed in that article was millennials, who really are such a large group, and the group following millennials, another large group who carry that millennial, that globalist, that inclusive, that diverse sort of worldview even further. And clearly that group becomes the majority. I think that those who are nationalists are really probably breathing their last breaths with this election, maybe hanging on, for the next couple of years. That's how large, even with a Donald Trump victory, that's just how large this demographic change is going to.
Well, and it's interesting because the world really has gotten so. This is the first generation that's growing up in a small world.
Yeah.
And this is with technology, with social media, with everything. It's so easy to make phone calls to other countries and to travel. This is a small world, and this is the first generation that's growing up in it.
Yeah, look at Bill, and I'm much older than you are, but our kids and their kids are playing soccer and lacrosse and rugby. We played baseball and football,
right,
and basketball. Basketball is global now, and soon baseball will be too. Yeah, that is just a sign of how globalized the lives of our children are and are going to be.
This whole thing started when we started losing the Little League World Series. I'm telling you, this is where it began. This is where it began.
We should have built a wall.
We should have built a wall. That's exactly right. Oh, they're destroying this pastime that we've cherished for so many years. Crazy stuff. This is a huge growing pain we're going through, and it's incredible. Last question from Manaski.
Do we want to get a clarification on the contest?
All right, John, I'm going to use you as a political judge. Mm-hmm. Okay. Are you ready? Here's the question.
I'm very scared.
I know.
Here's
I'm
the
scared
question.
for you.
We asked the question, which presidential candidate is known for his or her famous filibuster in Congress?
Ted Cruz.
That was the answer that Greg gave. And my response was, that's the incorrect answer. Ted Cruz is no longer in the race. The candidate that is known for the filibuster was actually Bernie Sanders in 2010 when he filibustered for over 8 hours against the reinstatement of tax cuts from George W. Bush. Now, I know you answered that way. Do we give him the prize? Do we not give him the prize?
Is Cruz still a presidential candidate right now?
He suspended his campaign, so he is a candidate. He hasn't dropped out. But what a terrible question.
No, that's a mean question. That's what that is. Mean. Okay, so Greg, just so you know, Greg responded to me and said, I think right.
Winning.
Okay.
Wow.
Per John,
Little delayed.
we're going to give the $100 of cash to Greg down in the valley. But
Okay.
according to under election law, the term suspend has no formal meaning. The Federal Election Commission still considers the candidates a candidate, even after they've suspended their campaign. John, you're absolutely right. And you were right, by the way. All right. ZogbyAnalytics.com. Thank you, John. We appreciate it.
Have a good day.
You too. John Zogby. So there you go, Greg. John is your savior.
So there was more than one answer to this question then.
Kind of was, yeah. Andrew?
Does he still get the Carmelis?
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, for his pain and suffering, give him back.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. All right. Come on, let's not
Really?
let's not yank something away.
We're
after we
taking
gave it
back
to him.
a gift certificate in exchange for $100.
You just give him the gift certificate
Boy,
and the $100.
I'll tell you.
Got to break birthdays and all that. Greg wins $100 in cash from the Hobica Law Firm, and he's got a big smile on his face right now. Coming right back at WIBX.